Hey guys, so about 1 week or so before Christmas, my channel finally hit 500 subscribers, and that had been the next milestone I had been looking for several months, if not almost a year at this point. And so I was really excited, and I decided, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and make a 500 subscriber special, because that's what I'd been waiting to do. The only thing was I wasn't sure what to do, so I started thinking about the possibilities. I thought maybe use some clips from my old videos and kind of do a then and now. But while I was in the process of doing that, a couple days before New Year's Eve, I actually hit 1,000 subscribers. This is insanity. I don't know what explains this sudden and quick growth rate all of a sudden. I mean, I'm not gonna complain, but it does mean that the 500 subscriber special now has to be turned into a 1,000 subscriber special. And the good thing is, because I waited, I finally came up with an idea for what I want to do, a Q&A, and I talked about it on Twitter. We had the hashtag SweetBananaQA, and I created a chat for it in my Discord server. So I've collected a few questions from you guys, and I figure I want to get this thing recorded now, before I start to hit other milestones, like 2,000 or 5,000. It'll probably be a while before 5,000, but I'm already pretty close to 1,500 at the time of recording this, so we'll see what happens. Okay, let's start with my Twitter questions, and I'm not really going to be doing this in any particular order, except for an order I think makes sense. And I'll show the questions on screen so you can see who asked them. Alright, the first question is going to be a two-parter. It's, why did you start YouTube, and how difficult was it to do YouTube for so long with minimal subscribers? Did you do it for fun? And to answer that, I'll kind of start how I got into it. Basically, my last year or so in college, I discovered YouTube. Like, I knew about YouTube, but I mean, I discovered YouTubers. I spent more time on YouTube, and I started seeing all of these people who did gaming content, people who did Let's Plays, people who did reviews, theories, all kinds of things. And I was just taken in by this. Of course, I did take note of the fact that there were people making money off of this and making it their primary career. I never thought that would be me, and I still don't think that's ever going to be me, because YouTube is primarily a fun thing for me to do. It is a bit of a job at this point, but it's sort of a creative outlet and a way for me to express my passion about games, and now Pokemon in particular. But I actually didn't take the plunge into starting my own YouTube channel until, interestingly enough, I was recovering from shoulder surgery in mid-2014. I had thought for a long time that maybe I wanted to do YouTube, but I wasn't sure where to start. I didn't know how becoming a YouTube partner worked. So being bedridden for a long time, other than getting up to do physical therapy, gave me a lot of time to think and do research and actually put things together. And using the skill set I learned from my digital media degree, in addition to just playing around with video editing, I had the video editing skills that I needed to do some rudimentary videos, and just enough graphic design experience to have some graphics. Not the best graphics by any means, but you know, I could put them on there and they would function. And that's how I got started, and mainly the reason that I wanted to do it, at the time I had nothing better to do, I was recovering from surgery, but I did think it would be fun. I wanted to give it a try. I was always into video editing as a kid, and so I thought this would be kind of cool. I'd give it a shot. And I never really expected it to be like, oh, I'm gonna actually start making money from this. But I had some curiosity. I wanted to see if I, jumped in with this thing, where would it go? What would become of it? I wanted to see what would happen. And so now it's starting to pick up, but yeah, for a long time, for about 2 of the 2.5 years that I had this channel, actually almost the full 2.5 years of this channel, I, basically wasn't making any revenue from things. And it was, I don't want to say it was too disheartening, because again, I never expected that I was gonna be this big-time YouTuber or anything like that. And I'm still not, don't get me wrong. I still have a ways to go before I can start considering myself that, but that's never what I wanted. But I was getting a little, maybe, disappointed that I wasn't reaching as many people as I could. Like, I had very little interaction in the comments. A couple of my series started having some interaction. My Mario Maker series, it was actually, I think, the first series to have a really good back and forth in the comment section. And that kind of kept me going. So the very little bit of interaction I got from my earliest fans, that kept me going a lot, and I thank you guys so much, especially those of you who are still with me and with the channel and watching. I really owe a lot to you guys. That kept me going a lot. The fact that I was still enjoying it helped me out a lot, but I have to admit, I did have a couple of times where I kind of had to reconsider whether I still wanted to go through with keeping the channel going. And this kind of goes into another question, actually from Ovi, a fellow YouTuber, and a friend of mine who actually helped me out a lot when I was starting out, asking, what's your advice for smaller channels that are losing motivation? And I'll say what I did anyway. First of all, I never had that being my primary thing. I mean, I know other people, if you want to go for it and have YouTube be your primary thing, go for it. But with that being said, I think you should step into it knowing that it's a very uncertain thing. Getting noticed is uncertain. There's a lot. It's a very saturated market for Let's Plays and gaming content. So getting noticed is tough. So you want to try to make yourself as unique as you possibly can. Kind of find something that you're passionate about, something specific that you're passionate about making videos on. I found that when I did my How to Competitive series, that was the first thing, I've mentioned this before, that was the first thing where I thought, this is I'm filling a need, kind of. I'm doing something, I'm not the only one doing guides on this sort of things, but I try to, in the way I present it, make it a little unique, make it, you know, something that people want to go see. And I mean, I had no idea that it would be my most popular series, but here we are. But again, I would say if you're, you know, a small channel, and I would still consider myself a small channel, my advice for you would be, you know, keep sticking with it, but if you need to take a step back and, you know, maybe just do one video a week or one every 2 weeks, if you need to step back on your output for a little bit so that you can kind of take a breather, you know, focus on something else in life, certainly have, I wouldn't call it a fallback, I'd have a first career. Have something else to make money, for sure. And keep this like a hobby. I mean, put your passion into it. But I know it sounds a little contradictory, but you have to, you know, think realistically. At the same time, though, don't get discouraged. What I'm trying to say, though, is don't put all your eggs in one basket right away so that you don't feel so much pressure if your channel isn't doing well or if it's really slow to grow. Have other options and keep this as your way to have fun, because if you keep it as something that's having fun, if your channel starts to do well, that's great, and then if not, I'm still doing something that I love, it's still out there if anybody wants to find it. Basically, I'm saying you should set it up that way so that you can keep going with your channel, you can keep plugging away, keep trying new things, improve slowly over time. That's more or less what I did. I know everyone's different, everyone's channel is going to go through a different journey of growth, but that's what I would say. Put yourself in a situation where you can keep your channel going and keep it fun. That's not to say that you're going to enjoy every single day that you work on a video. There are times where it's a little bit of a grind and it's a little bit of a chore, but just in general, if you could take, say, a month or 2 months off from making videos and you don't even miss it at all, then it's not fun enough. But if it's a chore every once in a while, but you look forward to the satisfaction of a well-done video, then keep at it. Okay, next question, and we'll keep it in sort of the general YouTube theme right now, I guess. What are you most excited for in 2017? And for my channel, I would say I'm a combination excited and nervous, because I've got a lot of stuff in the other realms of my life that are going to be coming to a head when we get really into 2017 later this month and for the rest of the year. That's going to make it difficult for me to have the same kind of focus on YouTube and Twitch that I had in December, which is when I had my big growth for my channel. So I'm a little bit nervous about that, but I am excited for the different content that I could bring. I'm excited because I'm working on a VGC team, and I'm going to try out battles with that team, and it's really interesting. I've tested it out on Showdown. I think I'm going to have some fun with VGC. Now, at the beginning of 2016, I had made sort of an announcement that I wanted to move my channel away from just Let's Plays, or primarily Let's Plays, and focus more on my sweet speculations and the other scripted stuff. That didn't exactly happen, but I am now not just doing Let's Plays, I'm doing other things that are not scripted, but I'm doing battles and how to competitive, so I am kind of opening up the variety of the channel a little bit. I do still want to do Sweet Speculations, and I have one that I've been working on for about a month or so now. Just, it's been taking this long because I don't have a whole lot of time to edit it. It's basically all laid out. I just need to finish editing it and actually get it up. So that'll be up at some point, hopefully in the near future. And I still love Sweet Speculations, just the problem that I have with them is that I don't always have a good idea or enough time to research an idea. I actually do have a list of a couple things I'd like to explore, but it's just having the time to think about it. But I am excited to tackle those topics, and I'm excited to continue with How to Competitive for as many topics as I can possibly cover, and I'm excited to see what happens to the channel. In other non-YouTube related stuff, I'm excited for the Switch. I don't know that I'll be able to get it right as it launches, but hopefully by the time whatever Pokemon game comes out for it, the price will have gone down a little bit, I hope. I don't know, we'll see. Okay, I'm not going to be able to pick out every single question just for sake of time because I realize I like to ramble a little bit. I'm going to skip a couple of them. I'll still get a good amount of questions in here. Let's move on to people who ask me questions on Discord, and this one is a 2-in-1 question, favorite Alolan Pokemon design-wise and favorite competitive-wise. Now, I already mentioned in my tag video that Mimikyu was my favorite Pokemon that was introduced in Alola, and I would say that's mostly based on design. Some of it is for competitive use. Mimikyu is pretty awesome competitively, but I just love that it's got this cute little cheap Pikachu disguise. And its actual face, at least from behind the disguise, looks really cute. It's just like this cute little fairy ghost that wants to be loved. So I'd still say Mimikyu is my favorite design-wise. Competitive-wise, based on Pokemon that I've tried out, I'd say that my two favorite right now, it's a tie between Toxapex and Araquanid. Both of these are water types that have a good amount of bulk. Araquanid is also pretty good physically, offensively. Toxapex can do some pretty good damage on the special side. I'd have to give a slight edge to Toxapex because Toxapex lives a stab earthquake from a Garchomp, and that impresses me so much, especially because earthquake is super effective on it. Toxapex has just come in handy so many times and been clutch in so many situations that I would say that's my favorite competitive Pokemon in Alola. Honorable mention goes to Komala because I did not expect it to be competitive at all, and it's actually pretty darn good as well. Okay, here's one that's fun to explain. Why and how did you end up with the name SweetBananaGaming? Well, in order to decide that, we have to go way back to before doing YouTube game stuff was even a blip on my radar, and that would be back in late 2010. If you don't know, I am a big fan of the Beatles and Paul McCartney in particular. I get it from my parents. So in 2010, I was following Paul's website and they opened up a contest to do a cover of one of his songs and put it up on YouTube. Now, at the time, I just so happened to be playing around with GarageBand software, so I was really into the idea of producing music. Now, I'm not much of a musician, but I was starting to learn just enough to where I could splice together music and almost make it sound like I maybe knew how to play a little bit. Anyway, I wanted to create a YouTube channel for that, so I had to think of a name. And I don't know why I chose this one, but there's a line in a song by Paul McCartney and Wings that includes the words, "Sweet Banana." I can't quite say what the context of it in the song might have been, but for some reason, the phrase "sweet banana" just kind of stuck with me. And I mean, bananas are a pretty delicious fruit and everything, and they are sweet. So I decided, okay, I'll use that for my name, and it'll just kind of be an in-joke for all the Paul McCartney fans that happened upon my video. Now, the name Sweet Banana was already taken, so I went Sweet Banana Digital because I was majoring in digital media. Then when I finally decided to do YouTube for games and stuff, I was trying to think of a name. I couldn't think of anything else that was clever or anything like that, so I just kept the Sweet Banana and added gaming for this channel. And that's it. Okay, next question. What was your first Pokemon and what was the name of your first nicknamed Pokemon? Well, those two Pokemon are actually one and the same. My very first playthrough of my very first Pokemon game, Pokemon Blue, I chose Bulbasaur as the starter, because I had only seen like 2 episodes of the anime at the time, and one of the first ones I saw heavily featured Bulbasaur, and I liked it. And it had Saur in its name, so it was like a dinosaur, and I was obsessed with dinosaurs at the time, so I picked Bulbasaur. And I nicknamed it Bulby. probably the least original thing to nickname a Bulbasaur, but I was 9. It has nostalgic value for me now, too. Okay, next question. What or who inspired you to play competitive Pokemon? And this is interesting because I never thought I would want to get into playing competitive Pokemon. It just seemed like more trouble than it's worth. And I just didn't really know anything about it. I mean, of course I knew how to play Pokemon in-game. I knew all the type effectivenesses and everything like that. But the competitive world just seemed too complicated for me. However, in my journey of watching all these different YouTubers, I happened upon Shady Penguin. And at first I was just watching him for his Let's Plays, but then I started getting into his competitive videos, and I really got into when he did those competitive leagues, the GBA and the UCL, I think they were called. So I started getting really into those battles and just absorbing the information. And then through Shady Penguin, I found Nips, who also offered a really kind of a fun twist on competitive battles just with his overall presentation. And really just watching the two of them, I learned a lot about the basics of competitive Pokemon and strategy. And after enough of watching them, I finally decided to try out Pokemon Showdown and try out some ORAS battles. That was pretty hit or miss. But then when Generation 7 was a thing, I started thinking, I think this is kind of almost a clean slate. I think this is my chance. I'm gonna try to get into competitive Pokemon. And that's pretty much what happened. Okay, another question. Which Pokemon makes you super salty, aka makes you the most upset and not want to play against them, and why? Well, in this meta, for sure, in singles, any team that has both Gyarados and Garchomp on it. Because if you've watched any of my videos or any of my streams, you'll know that anybody who has both Gyarados and Garchomp on the same team almost always beats me. Because first of all, I either get fooled and let them set up with a Dragon Dance. I fall for that so often. They like to set up on my Toxapex. They're just so much power, and both of them only need one Dragon Dance to outspeed Tapu Koko, which is one of the fastest Pokemon in this otherwise really slow generation of Pokemon. Honorable mention goes to Pheromosa because I don't have anything that can outspeed or take a hit from it, but it's only an honorable mention because I think I've only faced it twice in all of my battling experience, so I don't really get to complain about it that often. Next question, what was your first shiny? Well, interestingly, when Pokemon Gold and Silver were getting ready to be released, Pokemania was in full hype, and there were actually stores that would get Japanese copies of games. And so I was able to get both Gold and Silver before they were released in English by getting the Japanese games out of one of these stores. And so I played through those. I didn't know a lick of Japanese, and I still pretty much don't, but I knew enough about how a Pokemon game worked. I had played the first generation games so many times that I could find my way around pretty well. And so I played through Silver first, and I don't think I ran into any shinies other than, of course, the Red Gyarados. But I don't really count the Red Gyarados because everybody gets it. But in my Japanese version of Gold, I was playing through the game and I got past, I don't know, the third gym, I think. And I went to the next route and I had a wild encounter and it was a shiny male Nidoran. And that one took me completely by surprise. It was before I even got to the Red Gyarados in Gold. It was just a shiny Pokemon there in the wild. And it was blue, my favorite color. So I flipped out, I caught it instantly. It became one of my favorite members on my team, and the coolest part about this story is that during one of my runs of Pokemon Y, years and years later, I ran into another shiny male Nidoran, totally by chance. And so it was fate, I caught it and used it on my team. So for nostalgic value, shiny male Nidoran / Nidoking might be one of my favorite shinies. Alright, we've been talking a lot about my YouTube channel and a lot about Pokemon and gaming, so I'm gonna close this off with one more question from Twitter. Do you watch anime, and which is your favorite? I gotta be honest, I'm not a giant consumer of anime. With that being said, I don't watch a whole lot of TV at all anymore, and I don't have Netflix, so the struggle is real. But even though I grew up in the generation of Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, my introduction to anime actually came with Pokemon. And I would say in the early 2000s, I did the trifecta of Pokemon, Digimon, and Yu-Gi-Oh! That was my main anime experience. But while I was in college, I was able to pick up a few anime series, either in part or in whole. I believe I watched all of Death Note on Hulu. I watched most of Naruto and some of Naruto Shippuden also on Hulu. I've watched a couple other series like Darker Than Black, Hayate, the Combat Butler, Steins Gate, which I haven't finished yet, but I kind of want to. It's been years, though. I know there's at least one more that I'm missing, but I can't for the life of me remember the name. Out of those that I have watched, though, I have to say I did enjoy Death Note a lot. I just remember actually really being invested in that series, more so than a lot of the other series that I watched. So out of the anime that I've watched, aside from that trio of anime series from my childhood, I'd say that Death Note was probably my favorite. Steins Gate might be up there, but I haven't finished it yet, so I can't tell you for sure. And Hayate Combat Butler deserves special mention just for episode 1 alone. I won't spoil it for anybody, but I thought it was funny. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for this 1,000 subscriber special. I kind of rambled on, as I tend to do, in answering these questions, but hopefully this will be a reasonable length. But I need it to be a decent length anyway, because if you've been watching on the bottom of the screen the entire time, I have been putting the names of every single subscriber at the time of editing. So all 1,000 plus of you, at the time of editing this video, you're on there. Thank you so much. If your name did not appear on there, I'm sorry, I might have missed you, or maybe you subscribed after I did this video. But thank you as well. Thank you so much to all of you. I can't thank you guys enough. It still is insane that more than 1,000 of you have seen my stuff and decided to click the subscribe button. I know that there's still so much farther that a channel can go, but I'm just excited to see how far my channel will go, however far that is. So thank you guys once again for watching. Thank you so much for enjoying the channel. Be sure to leave a like and a comment, and, you know, if I make it to 5,000 subscribers, maybe I'll do another Q&A, so think of those questions. But you probably have a while to think, because 5,000 is still quite a ways away. Okay guys, thank you all, have a great 2017, and I will see you in the next video.